So Steffi, we said that since networking is your...
First of all, I have to say something. I'm going to so many conferences. Really, it's half of the year I'm on conferences. And for the very first time, and many months ago, I am totally overhyped and impressed about Texylvania. I love Cluj. I'm not from Cluj, but I already love Cluj. I love you guys, the spirit of your energy, the spirit of the atmosphere here. What Vlad, Huna, and you brought together makes me really, really happy. I'm your biggest fan. Just to say it in the beginning. It's such a great conference, and I hope to come back very often. I already booked my hotel for the electronic music festival.
Yeah, I have my own microphone. Yeah, so that we'll gladly have you as often as you want to come and be a good host for you. So first of all, things we were talking about networking, and you've given yesterday like a prime example because you said like you want to meet somebody in the health sector. So I introduced you to one of the local startups, Myra, for those in the audience who know the startup. And you on the spot invited them to Munich to your own conference within like 5 minutes of knowing them.
3 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, I was too generous with timing. So please tell us your secret about networking when you talk about pattern recognition, how to meet people and connect well with them.
You know, as you can see, I'm an elderly person. I have a lot of experience in talking to people. I met many people. I'm a veteran in the German internet businesses. So I can see if I meet one, if there is a certain spirit, if there is a certain passion and energy, if this person, loves what she or he is doing, loves and wants to make it the best product ever. The gentleman who asked, what can I do for a startup without money, without connections, without press and media, I tell you what you should do. You really should be totally passionate for your product and then start to talk to people about it. Talk to people like me about it. I don't need any VC improvements. I am investing in people. Investing means I'm open for connecting them to relevant people for their business. And this is the recipe for a good beer party. It's a recipe for a good music party. It's the recipe for a good salon. Mix people in an interesting way, make them relevant, give them relevant opportunities to meet other people which they could use as friends, as lovers, as business partners. This is kind of pattern recognition I love. And I think in times of big data, this all gets more on data, you know, you probably heard about the young archetypes. Under us humans, there are certain patterns which all of us rely on. And I think big data are able to get these patterns very quickly. And I'm kind of an intermediary between people who work with big data and have a human sense.
So you also follow your own talk, because I read that you got your job during a ski trip. So would you mind sharing of how you did that?
You know, I was a Hausfrau, a German Hausfrau. I raised 4 children. I lived in a nice country house, and my life was good. But I'm a trained journalist, so this means I'm curious. I'm curious from kindergarten on. And on a ski trip in Tegernsee, close by Munich, I met a middle-aged man. He was quite impressive, and he was a good skier. And after the second ski slope thing, we met in the gondola again, and he asked me what I do, and I said, I'm a curious housewife, and I'm raising children, and I like to be engaged in the community work and all these kind of things. And at the end of the gondola, it was 20 minutes, he asked me whether I want to work for him. There is a new thing which called internet. I've never heard about it. I was angry with my husband when he gave me a computer for Christmas. I thought, what should I do with this? And then I thought, this guy is strange. What is internet? Is it internet means in Germany nice. Be nice together. And I said, okay, what's in for me? And he said, oh, just come into my company. I'm a publisher. Of course, he was Hubert Burda from Burda Publishing. He's, by the way, very active here in Romania. I think we have 12 magazines here in Romania. We still do Burda Moden. Maybe you know the sewing patterns which your mothers used to sew Kleider, things. And I said, okay, let's try what is this internet all about. This was 95, and now I make it quick. He sent me I said, I can't work, I have to raise children, and he said, only work one day. Now I'm working full-time. Within 2 years, I worked full-time because it was so much fun. It was so much fun to recognize this new medium which changed so much our world. And yeah, this was all about. He sent me 1976 to my first TED conference, this fabulous conference formerly in Monterey, now in Vancouver, which brings together technology people, entertainment people, and design people. And this is the role model for DLD. DLD stands for Digital Life Design, and I thought we should do this in Europe. I added to technology, entertainment, and design, I added a very important thing. I asked artists to come to DLD, because I think artists are a very important seismograph of societal change. And since 10 years or 11 years, I'm doing DLD.
That's fantastic, quite impressive story. So you mentioned a lot about that you're coming to the IT industry from the outside with a curious mindset, and that you're especially looking at how technology can change society. That's a topic that drives you and DLD a lot.
Not only technology, digitalization, it's a difference.
Okay, then please enlighten us.
The internet world was an unpredictable world. 1995. It was a little bit like a hippie world. Nobody took them serious. I met Mark Andreessen when he was a young, quite fat, goose-bumping things in his head, young man. But he was so devoted, and he said, Netscape will change the world. And he did. And this is amazing, and I think this digitalization technology with social is really changing our world, and you're all part of it. And I'm carefully watching you. I was so impressed about these young guys, the winners of the competition yesterday. I think they've all been fantastic. Today, before I came here, I was sitting next to the product manager of BMW, and she was telling me, oh, we have a completely new technology. It's on gestures. You can drive your car with gestures. And these young kids from Bucharest, they showed us how they make music with gestures. We should bring them together, the BMW persons with them. So this is what I like, to discover young talent and bring them together with old lions.
So your advice to young people is look at it through the ability to change the world. That's what digitalization means in some way.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes. So another topic where you're looking about a lot of change and where you have a very interesting perspective is because you also in the past set up the DLD Women Conference, and you quoted this fantastic that women and men are thinking differently, and you're obviously thinking that women have the way of thinking in the future more networked. So I'd love you to share with the audience, because we have a lot of women here in Cluj. We have in IT industry much more women than internationally. So what do you can tell to them on how to apply that?
It's a little bit a joke, but I always say that men are very linear. They think from one point to the next point to the next point. And we women, we think on different layers. You know, we are thinking, sometimes not very logical, but we are working on many, many layers. On one hand, we have to do with our family, with our relationships, with our house, with our whatever, and then we have to do our job, then we have to be with our friends. So we are multi-layers, much more multi-layers. Men sometimes, and I can say this, I'm 61, so I have experience, men are more two-dimensional sometimes.
So what would be your advice to the women here in the audience?
Honestly, my advice is follow your heart, not your mind. We all, I think it sounds very retro-minded, but first think of all founding a family. I think we are meant to have a family, raise children. With digitalization, it's much more easier to stay in contact, to get things done. You can work from home. I have a friend, her name is Sheryl Sandberg, and she is very, as you know, she is very, very busy in her job as COO from Facebook. But you never can talk to her between 5 and 9 in the afternoon, never ever, because it's family time. She leaves the family. She leaves home when their kids are in school. It's very, very strict done. And this quality time is very important for many big Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. Same for Ben Horowitz. You can't disturb him in this time 5 to 9 because he is with his kids or with his wife or so. So you can. What I want to say, you can manage work and family, it's possible.
Yeah, that is, I think, a great advice that we all, women and men alike in our industry, need to follow much more to have a good work.
Don't be afraid. Just try to do it. And if you fail in the first moment, and if you're stressed out, and if you're totally over the top, you should do it. You should give your time a relaxed time, and then start from new to try it. But children, family first.
Yes, so that's right. That's a very good advice and a very unusual one at a tech conference with workaholics. So I think that's much appreciated. One thing that I want to also mention, I've read in an interview about you online that you said that the difference between the kids in the Silicon Valley and the kids in Europe are that in Silicon Valley they work 24/7. So can you elaborate a little bit on the difference between Silicon Valley and Europe in terms of founders, and what you wish that European founders have more of the Silicon Valley founders?
I tell you what I think. I also can see it here a bit. I think we Europeans, we are so good in our work. We are so good in our education. And we are looking far too much over the Atlantic. We are setting our goals, setting our visions, make our life we're looking all the time to Silicon Valley, to New York. But we should look to ourselves. Yes, we should create European Silicon Valleys, but they shouldn't call Silicon Valley. It should be the tech, it should be, we are much better than we think. Don't look all the time to America. Look into your qualities yourself, you have here. Look, my English is not very good, and nevertheless I made it. So don't be afraid to speak whatever you speak, French, Romanian, Italian. The most important thing is that you're passionate about your idea, about your work. And come to Munich, come to Berlin, come to Letland, to Latvia, come to Cluj, and change your ideas with people you find equally passionate like you. This is the recipe of Silicon Valley.
So this is how we can kick ass of Silicon Valley, by being more passionate than them.
It's not a matter of kick ass. It's just a matter of pride of your own qualities.
Okay, that's great. So one thing that I want to ask, since we spoke a bit about like societal change, which are the things that you're most passionate about as drivers of that change at the moment? I mean, specific examples that you've seen, because you have the great privilege of meeting like tons of founders. So what was the last few things that you've seen that you say like, wow, if this would be implemented, that would change the world completely?
I think you are the ones who will change the world completely. So I'm passionate about you. But right now, I think we're on an edge of a totally new development. I think big data will, whatever it is, but you know what I mean, will change the internet world. It's not about the old internet, it's about new things. I think it's time to create the new Google. Google is, for me, it's an old-fashioned company. You should develop the new one. You should develop the new Facebook. You should develop the new apps which change the world. Personally, I think a big hype will be starting around health, life sciences, fitness, lifestyles. So I do DLD summer, which are more health-related, life science-related focus. I think there will be many things to come. I think the topic of personalization, my data, my body, my information, my whatever, will be getting much more relevance than it has had before. I think this field is very interesting. I'm looking for companies who deal with this. And then I found out to really get to know what's next, you have to follow the founders who already did a big thing. It's interesting. It's an interesting pattern. People who have been successful, they have a successful gene somehow. They replicate their success. You can see it, and we mentioned it before, Ben Horowitz. He's always good for new things. Look what he's investing right now. By the way, he is investing, if you look at the investments of Horowitz and recently, he's investing in agriculture. I think agriculture will be an interesting field, not only because of Ben Horowitz. In general, I think agriculture will be an interesting next field too. Health, agriculture, personalization. These are my guesses.
That's fantastic. So it all comes down to pattern recognition, which you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd like that we'll still open the questions to the audience, that they have a chance to interview you 5 minutes. We're going a little bit over time, but I checked with Vlad, since we get you here, we'll exceed our time a little bit. So if you have a question, please raise your hand.
So the minute you... let me first introduce myself.
Can we get some, what's the second? Can we get some light? Yes, now we can see you.
So I'm Claudia, a developer, and the minute you said conferences, a question arises in my head. Like, how do you do intelligent business networking when you go to conferences? Because it's essential for a startup to have good connections. Like, how do you get the most of it? Because now I'm imagining that people search you, but at the beginning you were searching for human resources. So what was your strategy? How do you go to a person when you have no idea how to get in touch with them?
Your name was Maria?
Claudia.
Claudia. Best advice I can give you, don't be shy. If you're shy, overcome your shyness and just talk to the people. Just come and talk to me. Just come and talk to Nanda. Just talk to them.
But where do you start?
I just found out that people who are arrogant, they are not worth talking to. The bigger you are, it's a pattern I really discovered. The bigger you are, the more open you are. So get over the press people who are surrounding the stars and just talk to them. Have a good question. first question. And what also is an interesting thing I found out when I started DLD, big stars are to whom are the big stars talking? So if you don't get to the one you want to speak, get to the one he's talking to, or he or she is talking to. They can be a bridge to the one you want to talk. So it's the first advice I can give you, and the most important, don't be shy. Don't just be passionate about what you want to talk about.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Andrei. How did you meet Ben Horowitz, and what was your first impression? Can you describe the first conversation?
As I told you in the beginning, I'm going to many conferences, and I'm doing a very good preparation. I read the CVs, I read the things they did, the hobbies they like, and I met Ben Horowitz for the first time at Kara Swisher's then it was All Things D conference in California. And I always wanted him to invite to DLD. And he stood together with a friend of mine, and I said, can you introduce us? And she did. It was John Bradford from Pinterest. And she introduced me. This is Steffi from Munich. She's doing this conference, which is quite nice. And then I read before that Ben Horowitz likes very much boxing. And I said, yes, I read that you like boxing. Please come to the country of Max Schmeling. And he was, but he was curious. And then I talked to his wife. I talked to his wife about Europe and whatever. She told me that her daughter is an art historian. So sometimes you have to get a little Umwege. What is Umwege? A little roundabouts. And after a while, I invited him. I said, come. And he said, yes, I'm coming. And then I gave him a really good experience. I put in his hotel room boxing books. I gave him, he's a big barbecue fan. I gave him Bavarian barbecues also. So I make it good for him, a good experience. I act like a good restaurant host, you know, and I connected him to old box stars. I asked if he wants to have a training with a famous box trainer while he's in Munich. All these kind of things, little things, but it made him welcome. So he came again. This is how you create an ecosystem. And if Ben Horowitz recommends DLD, it's a nice thing. So what I want to say you, it's just act with these old rules. Be nice, be curious, be polite, be passionate, be good prepared. Be prepared not only about your product, also about the circumstances you can connect your product with.
Okay, so we can take one last question if you have. Yes.
I can't understand you.
Taking into consideration that you are a businesswoman, what was your feeling in the middle of the businessmen that look at you and you are a woman and you do business?
I tell you, I'm raised by a single mother. I never had the feeling that men are different. They are different, but men matters. That I should be afraid of men. I mean, I just act like I act with you. You know, don't take them too serious.
Thank you.
Okay.